Hello, good afternoon. My name is Abhijit Pokharkar. I lead the PayFix function at Sunshot Technologies. I will just talk about the brand PayFix for a minute. PayFix is a brand of Sunshot Technologies, and PayFix specializes in the designing of a rooftop solar module mounting structure. So that includes structure for metal roof and the structure for RCC roof. So we are kind of proud to say that our structures are highly engineered and the technical data of all the components are available. So that is what we are putting. That's our unique selling proposition. And so this is the webinar series we are bringing up. So this is kind of 8th webinar, and we are conducting one webinar each month. And the aim or the purpose of this webinar series is to kind of bring the knowledge and our experience to the our customers and the solar fraternity. So this is kind of knowledge sharing platform where we want to kind of educate the ecosystem about the good installation practices, what are the design aspect to be seen in structures. So that is the whole purpose. Knowledge sharing platform is the purpose of this webinar series. And today's topic, we are going to talk about the construction procedure and checks for structure installation. So if we talk about the today's topic, it's a very broad topic actually. So there are construction procedure are different for each type of structure. So if you see for RCC roof, the structure procedures are entirely different compared to the metal roof. Even for in metal roof, the construction procedure for short rail and the construction procedure for long rail are different, and vice versa for standing seam, those are different. So this is a very wide topic, and today we are going to focus our all discussion on the structure installation for short rail. So that is what going to be our key focus area. Will not be talking about RCC roof today, because that is a very broad topic, and that will have the separate webinar for that. So maybe the next webinar will talk about the RCC roof structure installation checks. Today for the metal roof category, we'll talk about the short rail structures. So we'll start with our webinar. So these are the content of today's webinar. So the first point I want to talk about are the safety precaution we should take, because why I'm particularly putting this point put forward is that structural installation is usually the first activity in a solar plant installation, and there are special safety precautions are needed to be taken. So we'll go through in detail about the safety precautions. Those are not directly related with structure installation as such, but as a good practices we'll talk about it. Second is the roof checking. That what are the point we need to look at on the roof before starting the structural installation, that will cover. Third is the how to do the marking on the roof. Fourth would be the checking the availability of material for structure installation. Fifth would be the what are the tool requirement for structure installation, and the sixth will be the actual how to assemble the structure assembly. So these are the 6 topics we are going to talk today. So we'll start with the first topic, that is safety precautions. So there are a number of things we need to look at while we start the structure installation on a metal roof project. And the first point is that we should have a good access ladder for going to the roof. Because once you start the construction activity, all the manpower are going to take all the tools to the roof, as well as the structure material to the roof. So to carry all that material, we need to have a good quality access ladder available. If the ladder is not available, it becomes very unsafe activity for going to the roof. So first thing is that either the ladder could be staircase type, that is what is indicated in the picture, And the another category would be the monkey cage type of metal roof. But monkey cage ladders are not suitable to carry the material, so those are suitable only for the man movement. So depend on your application, and if you have the access, or are you going to use the crane. Based on that, you should choose that how the roof should be accessed. The second point I want to iterate is that we should have the safety line installation done before structure installation start, because safety line are critical for the metal roof. There are so many fall hazard on the safety metal roof. The first one could be there are transparent sheet on the metal roof. Another is the fall from the edges, or third could be the risk of that metal sheet corrosion itself. So there are so many factors, and the risk are there for the fall from height. And to protect the workers from all these hazards, we need to have the safety lifeline installed first. And safety line installation should be the first activity on the roof, and after that rest of the activity should start. Yeah, next point I want to talk about our safety net installation. So here if you see in the second images, all the transparent sheets on the roof are covered with safety net, and so safety net will ensure that if any person accidentally steps on the transparent sheet also, it will protect its fall. So that is the purpose of safety net, and those are very essential, because we could commonly see that there are a lot of dust is present on the roof, and if the atmosphere is dusty, and the color of the roof sheet and the transparent sheet sometimes gets kind of mixed up, and people are not able to kind of recognize the safety net location. And safety nets and transparent sheet. If transparent sheet are highly fragile, so they are not able to carry the weight of the person, and there is a big safety hazard. So safety nets are important. And in the first image, we have indicated a fall block arrestor. So what is fall block arrestor? So what it does? So it has kind of winding of a small safety rope. So the rope length would be around 20 meter. And you can actually, when you step on the roof, you can actually drill one point and tether that fall block arrestor to the one particular purlin, and for taking the taking the support from that fall block arrestor, rest of the work on the roof should be carried out. So the procedure would be that the person should first go on the roof. He should put one temporary anchor point, tether his fall block arrestor to that temporary anchorage point, and from that point onward he should install the safety net, safety lifeline. So that is what the recommended course of action is. Next point are the walkways. So it is also recommended that the walkway should be put before start of the structure and module installation. Many times it becomes kind of difficult to execute at site, because the walkways and the deliveries are more compared to the structure. But I think it's important that we should plan all those activity in advance, and we should put walkways before. Walkway help that whenever the workers are carrying the heavy modules, or they are carrying the structure material, so it protects the sheet from the cracks. So that is important, because we have observed that whenever the worker are kind of walking on the sheet, the top crest of the sheet gets hold because of the weight of the person, and safety shoes also put a lot of weight on the small portion on the crest part of the sheet, and that get crack up. So it's important that if the walkways are there, then all this, for heavy material movement, walkway helps. So if possible, walkway also should be installed before start of structure installation. There are various type of walkways are available. So here you can see in the first image there are kind of step walkways are given. So step walkways are recommended for very high slope, like 15° and more. Step walkways can be used, and another category is 0° walkway. So those can be used for any slope greater than 8 to 10 degree above, the step walkways can be used. And regular flush walkway, flush means parallel to the roof, can be used for any tilt angle below 8 degree. So this is how depend on your roof tilt, you should select the appropriate walkways and those should be used. The next point I want to put here is the handrail. So if the roof has very high degree of slope, if it is more than 12 degree, and if it is pitch roof where there is direct fall from the edges, so it's also recommended that handrail should be put, and handrail should be analyzed for its strength, that it should actually it should be sturdy enough to protect the fall of minimum 2% between two pole support. So all the stat analysis should be done, and accordingly handrail should be designed. So because when the person fall, it create a very high degree of force on the on the handrail edges, and the handrail should be sturdy enough to handle that force. So that is how the handrail should be designed. And after taking all these safety precautions, the last comes is the personal protective equipment. So personal protective equipment, all the workmen should have helmet, safety shoes, full body harness, transparent vest, jacket. So all those are important precaution needs to be taken. So once all these precautions are taken, we can actually ensure that on the site the working environment is safe for the people to work on, and then actually we should proceed with the actual construction activities. So now we are done with our safety precaution check. Now we'll move to the next topic. So next topic is a roof preparation. So what I mean by roof preparation is that actually once before start of the actual installation, we should have a very close survey of the roof. We should identify the points where there are already damages are there to the sheet. Those points could be around the turbo ventilator, those points could be around the transparent sheet, and also because of man movement there could be some already cracks in the existing sheet. So it's important that once we put the structure and the module installation, all those points gets covered below the module, and later on it's just highly impossible to take out all the modules, and in the rainy season that point starts leaking, and it's very difficult at that moment to actually identify the source point of leakage, and removing all the modules going to that point and arresting that leakage becomes very cumbersome. So it is very easy if we can do it at the first, and so all those visually the points which you can actually see visually should be identified. So one trick we can do, so if there are leakages or if there are open points on the roof, and if you can just go below the roof on the afternoon time, actually you can see all the light coming through that holes, and that all those points can be very easily identified in the afternoon time if you are standing below the inside the shade. So yeah, and there are other ways also you can actually identify those damage areas. And once you identify those damage area, it's important that before starting the activity, the waterproofing, those points should be arrested. So there are some tapes are available with recommended makes like 3M or other brand makes, where you can actually put those tapes, or there are some waterproofing membranes are available, bitumen membranes are available. So all those membrane you can use different means of waterproofing layers, and you should arrest those leakages. So that will save a lot of time during the handover stage. So in the second image I have shown, so it's kind of very small image, but there are tapes are put on the damage area, so to protect the leakage from those points. So this was the second point of roof preparation, and now we are coming to the third point. Third point is area marking. So area marking, in my opinion, area marking is a very important activity. Area marking defines the actual construction quality of the whole plant, and it also determines the aesthetic of the plant. If the marking is not done properly, we can see a lot of anomalies in the structure or in the alignment at the later stage. So it's very important that we should actually area marking, pay a lot of attention. There should be very close supervision, inspection during the area marking stage. So there are 3 points I have listed down for area marking stage. One is again, first is safety related, that how much clearances we are putting from the edges. Another is a clamping zone, and third one is a module frame mounting on structure. So I will elaborate all these 3 points in detail in the next slide. Yeah, so now we are coming to the point. So safety clearances from the edges. So what I mean by safety clearances from the edges, so your roof slope is kind of not much, it's up to 5 degree, and maybe you may not need handrail at that moment. So still it is recommended that for the person should not go very close to the edge, and there should be minimum gap should be put from the edges. So that gap, how much gap to be put, is kind of depend on the layout capacity, but I think it's important that the minimum gap around 1.5 to 2 meters should be kept from the edges. So that creates a kind of safe working platform for the worker, and that will be kind of safe platform for during the maintenance as well. If there are any checks to be done, or if any module to be removed at the later stage, that 2 meter clearance will be helpful. So safety clearances we should kind of build in our plant layout right at the designing stage. The next point is clamping zone. So what I mean by clamping zone is that if you see the module installation manual of each module OEM, and all our short rail installation are clamp based. So with the clamps, actually the structure is getting fitted over the structure. So there is a fixed location on the module long rail is given, and on that rail point only the short rail clamp should be installed. So the location, so some module OEM also allow the clamp installation on short rail as well, but it's very important that actually you should see on which part the module, whether it is on long rail or the short side of the module, we are going to, the clamp installation is recommended, and based on that the clamping zone should be selected. And the third point is that module frame mounting on structure. So what is important here, so this is the image what I have put here is a wrong image. This is wrong installation. So this is the area marked in red, shows the width of the module frame. So it is recommended that this complete module frame should rest on the short rail. If it is not resting completely, that's the improper installation. And if you see the module OEM installation manual, so if the clamps, the module edge is not completely rested on the short rail, that will lead to the void of warranty. So it's very important. And so basically all those are kind of economical structures. So short rail, and there are shorter version of short rail are also available. So these are kind of economical structure, and though this solution can provide a very sturdy solution, so but their installation becomes paramount importance. So if the marking is not done properly and the installation is not done properly, then the structure will not provide the required strength for the module. So all such a mistake should be avoided. Yeah. So we had covered till the 3 topics, and now we are moving to the 4th topic, that is material availability. So material availability, if we talk, so this is a very particular problem during the installation, because on many typical solar site the proper storage conditions are not available, and many of the material is stored outside or on the near to the roof on some RCC platform, where the proper store facility is not available, and for the short rail there are quite short small materials are there, like all rivets, end clamp, mid clamp, plain washer, spring washer, fasteners. So those are very small material, and all those small material can get kind of lost very easily. And just so it's very important that before we start actually structure installation, we should actually count, and it might take a day to count all the these small components, but it's important, because then at the later stage the installation work can completely halt, and to get the required material to the site can take almost 7 week to 10 days, and that much construction period is lost. So it's very important that we should plan all the things in parallel. At the first place itself, the structure, all the structure required quantity should be verified, and if any shortfall is there, it should be informed beforehand, so that construction work should not halt. Fifth topic is a tool requirement. So this is very important parameter. So first we'll talk about a drilling machine. So when we are talking about a drilling machine, so drilling machine, we, as you know, that we use it to drill the cell tapping screw for long rail, and drill machine are used to drill a hole in a sheet for fixing rivets. So for all metal roof application, for penetrative type application, drilling machine is used. So when we are using and all the short rails are typically fixed with rivet. Even some kind of cell tapping screw are also available, but common method, majority applications are done with rivet. So when we are kind of selecting the how much should be the size of the drill bit hole we are putting in the sheet, we need to pay attention that what is the dia of rivet we are having. Suppose you are using a rivet dia of 4.8 mm. The dia of rivet is 4.8 mm. Then your drill bit dia should be 4.9 mm. So there should be only 1 mm extra higher size drill bit should be selected. So what repercussion it has? So if you kind of, as you know, the operation of a rivet, so how it operates, that when we actually pull up the rivet from the by pulling up the mandrel of the rivet, then it creates the force, and bottom part of the rivet gets flattened, and it creates the rivet gets flattened from the outside as well as the inside, and that is how the rivet provides the strength. But if your hole size or the hole size is more, whatever, and the overlap between the flattened portion of the rivet and the actual hole will be very smaller, so it will lead to higher stress generation, and it can, and if your drill bit dia is very much higher, it will not provide the required strength. So this is very small thing, but we need to pay utmost important for drill bit diameter. The second point I want to mention here is rivet gun. So why rivet gun is important? So when we are putting drilling the rivet, once drilling is done and we had put the rivet inside, and we are actually pulling up the rivet, and if that gun is rivet gun is not able to provide the enough clamping force, it will not able to kind of cut the mandrel, and it will not form the correct size of bulb from the inside part of the sheet, and it will not provide the required clamping strength. So rivet gun should be good, and so it should able to provide the required clamping force. So many times what happens, that the inner edge of the rivet gun lose its strength, and it is not able to hold the mandrel part of the rivet properly, and it is not able to generate the enough force, and then the bulb size doesn't get formed in a proper manner. So rivet guns are important. And the next thing is torque wrench. So for all the structure installation, after tightening we need to ensure that all the structure joints are completely are uniformly tightened, so it also creates a uniform pressure on the module at all the edges, and so the pressure should be uniform, so it shouldn't be excess or it shouldn't be very less. So for each size of fastener size, the required torque value is mentioned. Typically it might be 15 Newton meter, 20 Newton meter, 22 Newton meter. It will be depend on the specification of fastener and the grade of the fastener. So but that torque value should come to you from your structure designer or structure supplier, and once you need to ensure that all the structure fasteners are put with the required torque value. And there are two types of torque range comes. One is a manual one and another is a electric one. So electric one is a preferred because actually it requires putting the torque manually is a bit cumbersome, and sometimes it may not happen at site. So electric, if you are using the electric wrench, it's very easily. It can actually tighten up the clamp as well, and at the same time it can provide the enough torque. So it will also reduce the installation period time. So if you have the electric torque wrench, that will be good from the speed perspective. Yeah, and now this is the last topic of our webinar, and this is actual we are talking about structure assembly. So the right from first topic to the fifth topic, we are all talking about what are the preparation to be done. So all the preparation are important. If the preparations are done properly, the final output will be good. If the preparations are not proper, the final output won't be proper. So from that perspective, so we had talked about the safety precautions, we had talked about material availability to be checked, and availability of proper tools. So once all those requirements are catered, then the final work of structure assembly start. So the first we are talking about now short rail installation. So to put the short rail, first we need to drill a hole in a sheet. So again, that hole should we should use the correct size of drill bit to put for the drilling the hole. Then once drill holes are put, the EPDM sheet should be put on all those points, and the rivet should be fixed. The short rail should be fixed with rivet through EPDM sheet to the sheet. Once that assembly is done, silicone sealant or polyurethane sealant should be used to cover all that point, so that point becomes leakage proof. So once one rail is installed, so how typically it happens? So once rail is installed, the next point is that before going for the installation of mid clamp and end clamp, the module needs to be installed. So once all the rails are in place, so this is how your rail will look. So this is the single rail installation you can see here. So this rail is fixed at the 4 point, and this is silicone sealant put on those joints. So this actually here the quantity mentioned put is quite on the higher side, but we need to ensure that all that the side of this short rail should be correctly covered. So side covering the top edge and the bottom edge of the short rail is important, and when all the multiple short rail are installed, it will look like this assembly. So once all these short rail are installed, the next step is to put the module on top of it. So we put the module on it, modules are correctly put, and on one side of the module the end clamp will come for the first module, and for the next module there will be mid clamp will come. And once we place two modules next to one another, next point is that once modules are put, we need to put the DC cable connection. So all the DC cable should be kind of fixed with each other, and also those should be fixed with the cable clips with the module frame itself, because it's important that DC cable should not touch the sheet part of it, because if that will touch, that will also increase the temperature of MC4 connector, as well as it can also during the rainy season that MC4 can actually drench in the water, and it can have the further problem of short circuit and others. So the MC4 connector should not touch the GI sheet, and to avoid that you should use the cable clips to fix that DC cable with the module frame. And also module to module grounding should be done, and because once you put the mid clamp, this activity cannot be done further. So these two steps should be done before fixing the mid clamp, and also similar procedure should be followed for the next table. So this is how the procedure would be. And once mid clamp is put, then the next step would be kind of putting the fasteners and applying the correct torque to it. So, and also it's important that once if the project size is enough and if it is feasible, you should carry out the pull-out test on the site. So I will just show you some photograph of the pull-out test. So here this is the video of one typical short rail structure installation. So you can go through it. So whatever I have spoken, so you can actually practically see it. So I am starting the video. So this is the structure here we are talking is a sliding rail. So this is a mini short rail. So here you can see the drilling is done. The required size drill bit was used. Here EPDM sheet and the rivets were prefixed with the sheet. Correct size type of tool is used. So 3 rivets are used for fixing one mini short rail. Yeah. So here you can see the silicone sealant is put on the bottom part and the top part, and also the cover of the top cover of the rivet is covered. The rail is slide on top of it. The side is fixed again with the rivet. So the rivets are put on the diagonally opposite side. Now the opposite side will be fixed. Yeah, so this was a typical installation of one particular short rail. Yeah. Once this installation is done, so actually the pull-out test should be done for the first demo itself, or during the first batch itself. The pull-out test should be done. So here I have shown 2 methods. One is with the hydraulic machine. So this is a specialized machine, and it can generate a very high force, and it is suitable for it can generate the force up to 500 kg as well, but that much of the load is not required for the metal roof structure. So typical wind load requirement would be maximum 200 kg for any typical short rail application. So even if you don't have this hydraulic machine, the test can be done with a crane scale. The crane scales are available normally at the site, so you can actually fix the bottom end of this crane scale with some sling, or even that can be fixed with some U-nut or some hook nut, and this crane scale can be fixed with this short rail, and the force can be put to it, and the test can be done for the required force. So both the options are available, and with any of the option actually the pull-out test should be done, so it can ensure the reliability in the system. So yeah, so that's it. So this was the kind of content of my today's presentation. So today I talk about the short rail installation. So the few initial steps were generic, that safety precautions and or the tool availability and the material availability. So were generic checks, and even layout marking. Those are kind of generic check which are applicable for any kind of roof structure. And once those structure checks are done, and the photograph we have seen were mainly from the photograph were for the short rail installation. Yeah, so this was we talk about for metal roof structure, and there will be whole different procedure will be there for RCC roof structure installation. So we'll be talking about it in the next webinar. So check if there are any question. Actually, we can look at those question, and so I have just now put my mail ID also on the last slide. So it's abhijit@pvfix.in, and that is abhijwet@pvfix.in, and my mobile number was also put there. So you can reach to me for any of your structure queries, installation queries in the future, and also so all those methods can be used. We can have the next webinar on the RCC roof. So there is one query from Mr. Ajay, that can we use non-penetrative method to install short rail? So definitely the short rail can be fixed with non-penetrative method as well. So there are different kind of adhesives are available. Many leading adhesive companies are offering the solutions, and those are also becoming very popular. So only thing we need to pay attention is that there are two chemicals which actually comes, and those get mixed and provide the required strength. So the standard operating procedure or the SOP of putting this non-penetrative solution is very critical, and that should be followed and supervised and inspected very rigorously. That is important. So and even there are now some tape kind of applications are also there. Those are not kind of become very popular, but adhesive based solutions are becoming very popular, and those can be used. So multi-megawatt capacities are already installed on those, and those are also kind of proven solution provided the operating procedure used correctly. Yeah. So this was the content for the today. So we'll be coming up with the next webinar. So we have one question from Mr. Jagesh Tripathi, that nowadays handrail not preferred nowadays on the industrial shade. So basically handrail are depend on the slope. So it's a function of slope, and also if what is the profile of your roof is. If the roof is kind of pitch roof, and your slope is more than 10 degree, so it creates a lot of kind of safety hazard if any person falls, and if any person doesn't get tether with the short rail, sorry, with the lifeline, and there is a very high probability of that if the person kind of falls below. So that is a very high degree of safety hazard. And it's always recommended if your slope is more, and if it is kind of pitch roof, and if there is no obstruction at the end, if you don't have gutter or any other obstruction to avoid the fall of that person, then handrail should be used. And another question is from what type of walkway required for industrial shade. So walkways are kind of exactly function of the tilt. If you have the very high tilt, then step type of walkway should be used. If you have moderate tilt, then 0 degree walkway should be used. If you have slope below 5 degree, then you can actually go for flush mounted walkways. So it is all function of what is the slope of your roof. Yeah. I hope that answered your query. So you can also reach to me on my mail ID, and as well as you can share send me the WhatsApp message. I will respond to your queries. So we'll next month we'll coming up with the webinar on the RCC rooftop structure installation. So thank you very much for your time. This is Diwali week, and we could see that most of the persons like it was like but we are thankful that we have got a very good response for this webinar as well, with good registration. So thank you very much. I wish you a very happy Diwali to you and your family. Thanks for joining in. See you next month. Yeah, I'm just sharing my mail ID and my mobile number in the text window. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.